Hello everybody, and welcome to Crafty Chat. We are going to play and create and kind of experiment tonight with the Indigoblu box set that we got. So I'm going to wait for some people to find us. We'll kind of grab our kit items out. We are going to be playing with the Vivids. In our kit, there was a yellow one, a blue one, and a red one. Gosh, that crinkly is very loud, isn't it? So we're going to grab those and a paintbrush and some water, and we are going to create, guys. You know what? I need to... looking for... That'll be fine. Some fresh water. So we're going to kind of play with those items. This box set was so much fun. There's so many items in here. There is the... just a wonderful book. So, hi, Darla. Hello everybody. Kind of wait for everybody to find us. We're going to kind of play, create, and experiment tonight. I was flipping through this book, and there's a lot of great inspirations in here. So if you guys haven't got a chance to kind of flip through your book or take a look, please do, because there is so many fun, inspiring items in here. Hello, Pamela. So we're going to play with your Vivid inks, so make sure to grab those. I've got a kind of a variety, couple water brushes, some clean water, and maybe even a sprayer. And we're going to create. We're going to kind of fun. Hello, Lena. Just kind of watching the numbers grow. There's so many cool things in here that I think we might have. Well, I definitely know. We'll have more than one chat because there's just some really cool stuff in here, like I said. So I'll let everybody kind of jump on. Hello, Susan. I'm going to find, I was looking at this and kind of what we're going to play with tonight kind of mimics this a little bit. So I thought, you know what, why not create a card like that and see what they did. And so this is a big card, a white 8x8 card blank. 8x8, that would be 16 inches. That's huge. Maybe we turn it into a 6x6. That says a 7x7. Let me see if I have a 6x6 piece of watercolor cardstock. As everybody's kind of jumping on, grab some watercolor cardstock, and we're going to kind of play and create, guys. I have a piece of cardstock. It's this size, so we're going to go with it. So maybe we play with and do what they did there. Let's figure out what size our stamps are. Gosh, this stamp set is just gorgeous, isn't it? So did they actually? No. Yes. Oh, those stamps are big. No wonder they did a 7x7 card. Okay, we're going to do... We'll do something. We'll do something cool. We'll do something cool. We'll figure it out. We'll wing it. It is Wing It Thursday. Because these are bigger than what I thought on those. But anyways, hello everybody. Welcome to Crafty Chat. We're going to kind of craft some items and chat a little bit. Kind of grabbing my circles. I like to have just random circles so we can kind of, let me see if that's the size circle I used on that. Oh, looky there, that is pretty dang close. But I like to keep these lids and different things and have them on hand just for having different sizes of circles to kind of create and make. And why not? So these are kind of tops to bottles, tops to lids. Those are kind of perfect for circles. So I'm going to move this. So we're going to kind of get started with some stuff. So this is a little booklet that we played with to kind of learn some different techniques and some different ways to use the Vivid inks. These are watercolor inks, and you can do a lot of fun things with those. So we're going to kind of play with those. I'm going to have 2 different waters, and I need to go grab a second water. One for like your dirty stuff, and then we're going to have another cup of water. I like to, when I'm water coloring, to have one that is clean water. Just clean, nothing dirty in it. 100 cups on my desk, and all of them have brushes or something in them. So let me find another water container while you guys are jumping on and saying hello. It looks like our numbers are still kind of growing. Okay, let me go get some more water. Okay, so we have some clean water, we have some dirty water. We'll kind of work with those 2 containers. Okay, so what we're going to start with is some watercolor paper, because that's kind of what we're going to do our backgrounds with and kind of play with it. So this piece of watercolor, I'm just going to take and split it right here. And then I will give you guys some rough estimate sizing on this. Some rough sizing here. So this is about 12 by, we'll say 6. We're going to say 6 by 12 is the piece of paper that I'm doing. And what we're going to do is kind of, it's a heavy cotton watercolor paper. Any kind of watercolor paper you guys have will work. Anything it's porous, non-porous. And we're just going to fold it. So we're going to kind of fold it in half. And what we're doing is we're just making squares. Okay, so we're just going to fold it in half. We're going to fold it in half. And this is going to give us some squares. And then we're again going to fold it in half. So it's just sectioning it off, and it's giving us little squares to kind of work with. I like to fold it back and forth, kind of on each way, just to kind of train the paper and work that crease. So there is our piece of watercolor paper. Our watercolor paper we've got. And then I'm also going to grab our stamp. Because there's some great backgrounds on here that we can just stamp some random backgrounds, some random stuff on. So we'll kind of have that too. So first what we're going to do is we're going to kind of play with puddles. So you've got those 3 inks. These are Vivids. They're watercolor inks. The ones that came in the kit that I put together for you are like a red. Ooh, that was a lot. I don't think you necessarily need that much, but did a lot. So there's a red, there's a yellow, trying to keep my pools separate, and then there is a blue, and I'm just working on a glass mat You can work on a non-stick sheet. You can work on whatever you guys have. Just making sure that we're on the screen. On those. So we're going to work with the blue and the yellow first, and blue and yellow make green. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take just water, and we're going to come over here, and we're basically just going to make a giant, and somehow I already have blue on there, a giant watery square. And if you kind of put it in the light, you can kind of see where your water is, but I'm just kind of making a giant watery square and just kind of filling it in. So it's really, really wet. Then we're going to go in, I always like to go with my light colors first. So I'm going in with my yellow, and I'm just going to kind of tap it into the corner. And you're going to see that watercolor is going, that water is going to wick it. And it's going to really kind of work its magic. And we're just using these full strength. You can water them down if you want. We've already got water kind of on the paper, so that's where I'm just kind of using it full strength, and I'm just kind of tapping it in and letting it wick out. I'm going to clean my brush off, get the yellow off, and then I'm going to go in with the blue and do the same thing from the other corner. So I'm in the opposite corner. See how you just kind of tap it in and it works its magic in that water and kind of follows that trail. Now, blue and yellow are happy together. Blue and yellow will make green. So I'm just kind of drawing like a triangle out of those colors. And then they're going to meet in the middle and kind of work their magic. And they're going to turn into a green color. And I feel like I didn't go with my yellow all the way over to the corner. So I'm going to go all the way over to the corner. Okay. And then we're just going to leave that there and let it kind of work its magic. Just going to let it work its magic. Same thing. I'm going to go over here and again with water. I'm just going to draw a big circle. Whoops. So we're just kind of painting, drawing. We're working with water. We're playing with the watercolors and letting them kind of wick out and do their own thing. So this one, again, lots of water. That's kind of what makes the things flow. Lots of water. And then I'm just going to take yellow and I'm going to paint this whole thing yellow. Very wet. And we're just going to paint it yellow. And you can see that our first guy over there, as he's starting to kind of wick out, you can move him around if you want and see how it's working that yellows and the blue together, and it makes some green. If you want, you can always go back in and add some more water to them. But we're doing everything very wet on our watercolor paper. So I'm just going to paint that yellow. And then I'm going to go in with that blue and I'm just going to kiss it kind of right in the center. Kind of like an eyeball. And again, I'm going to let it work its magic and do its thing. If you feel like you want it to move more or it's not doing what you want, you can always take your sprayer or your mister and kind of spray it and then see how it wicks out more. So you can always kind of get it to do more activity. You can always mix your colors, but you don't want to mix them too much because you still want to have those separate colors in there. I just noticed I got blue, and the nice thing about watercolor paper is you can kind of clean up when you, oops. And if you get it too wet, just kind of let it dry. You can always hit it with the heat tool you can always go back and play with it some more on those aspects. You can also mix colors on your mat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some blue and put it over here. Then I'm going to grab some of that yellow and we're going to mix it, and we're going to make kind of like a green, like a teal color. So that makes a really pretty color. And then you can go in and kind of mix things, mix your colors. We're not touching the red because red is like a danger color. So there's cool tones and there's warm tones. And the blue is kind of your primary color. So if you mix a primary with a secondary, you're okay. But if you mix two primaries together, that's where you start to get brown. Okay, so here I'm going to put some blue over here, and I'm just going to paint the blue on because I love that color. And then I'm going to take some turquoise. We're going to kind of paint that turquoise over here. Ooh, isn't that a pretty shade? And then we're just going to let them meld into each other. Isn't that pretty? Ooh, very pretty. Those shades work really nice together. And then you can also, so this is water with full strength blue and full strength yellow. This is water with full strength yellow. And then we just dipped a little full strength blue directly into the yellow. And then that's where we're going to get our turquoise color. Then over here, we mixed on our mat the yellow and the blue to get that pretty turquoise, and then added them to water. And then if you want it to be darker, so my blue is, and you can just tap them in. The blue is full strength, and then that turquoise is mixing your yellow and your blue together. So you can mix your colors and you can get a lot of different looks out of them. These are watercolors, so they're going to be more kind of translucent. And then I'm going to go here because I love these colors and I want to see, just draw some lines with the full strength colors that we've kind of mixed up here. So there's our turquoise. I'm then going to come in and just do our full strength blue and see how pretty those is. And so far, we've only used 2 colors in our palette. 2 colors, but we've been able to mix and make different shades. Oops, I got a little bit of contamination in my yellow because I used dirty water instead of clean water. But you get the idea of that. Okay, so we kind of played with those colors. We've got some fun going on there. Another thing is to play with your colors. And let me get a heat tool so I can kind of dry in between some of these layers. Uh-oh, I'm going to have to unplug something. And you can always dry in between your layers, and then you can go back and add more to the top of them. You can add more, you can dry them out, and then go back in. So we're just going to kind of dry this out. See how you can kind of chase it and get some different colors going on? So these are essentially kind of like liquid watercolors, but they are very highly pigmented, a very high pigmented watercolor. So you'll notice when you mix them with water, they don't get really, really, really light. There's still a lot of intensity and still a lot of color to these because they're such a rich, kind of intense watercolor. And that's why they're called vivids. Vivid inks. They are very rich, rich ink. Of course, the more water you add to them, the more translucent they get, or the more the color lightens up. I'm going to go back in with my yellow. I don't like that all the other ones are boxes and I did a circle there. I kind of don't like a circle. Let me go back in and I'm just going to kind of square that up. Probably kind of running the design there, but we'll just let it run and do its thing. And if I need it to run, you can always hit it with water and then it'll kind of work its magic again. Okay, the next thing I kind of want to do is show water and then do light, light, light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some water on my mat. And we're going to kind of lighten it each time. So I'm going to take a little bit of blue and I'm going to mix the blue in there. And look at how rich and vivid that is. So I'm going to go in with some clean, let's see if this is cleanish water. Yep, there we go. And I'm going to put a square. Again, just lots of water, kind of building our squares so we can kind of make our water flow. And what we're going to do with this one is I'm going to take the blue and I'm going to kind of tap it in here. And this is blue with a little bit of water in it. And it had like a drop. Then I'm going to add more water to it. So what we're doing is we're kind of just making it lighter, lighter, and lighter. And if you get too light, we can always go back in with the darker and kind of put it in the corner. And all I'm doing is just kind of tapping it. Just kind of tapping the colors in and kind of mixing them. And because I went back in and added more water to that, that's why it's kind of going over the bridge and contaminating there a little bit, but I'm okay with it because it's mixed media. But as you can see, this is the same color that we've used, but the more water you add to it, the more translucent it gets. So you can keep lightening those colors up more and more. Go clean that up a little bit. Any questions? Anybody have any questions while we're going? Okay, then over here we're going to kind of play with dry. So this is dry right now. These are semi-dry. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our little bottle cap, and I'm just going to put it directly into the blue, which is full strength right now. And I'm just going to go over here and draw a little circle. Okay, so this is full strength blue. And we're just going to kind of draw some circles. And then let me find my round brush. And we're going to go in with a wet brush, and we're just going to kind of go in and follow along that. And look how it brings in the color from the outside of those. And you can bring it all in, you can bring it in a little bit, but see how it just brings that color. Get some more water, and we're just bringing that in. I'm doing like little bubbles. I like to watch the color like chase in. It's really cute, pretty to kind of chase in. Another thing you can do is kind of go add some more color into it. So this I did with just water. And the water just kind of brought that color back in. I'm going to go over here and dip into the yellow. And then I'm just going to fill in that white space with my yellow. But as you can see, I wasn't too careful. I probably should have let it dry a little bit. And then it'll kind of work its way in. And it'll turn that a little bit of turquoise, but kind of gives it some fun, bubbly colors. Hi, Scrapty. And we can dry it, and then if you feel like you need to go back in with another color, you can go back in with another color to get those defined lines in. I love circles though. There's just something about circles. I'm obsessed with circles. They're so much fun. And I feel like my yellow got a little bit of contaminated. So I'm going to go in and add some other yellow. I'll go with a clean brush. And I can just tap my yellow in. And you can go wet on wet. You can go dry on dry. If you dry it first, kind of like I did, and then I'm going in with a little bit of wet on dry, it doesn't mix it as much. So it gives you a little bit more different colors and more shading, but it will still mix because it's watercolor. So anytime you go back in with a watercolor on top of it, it will kind of constitute the stuff that is underneath it. And then if you ever feel like a line or something is too defined, you can just go back in with water and kind of tap it and tap out that defined edge, and that'll kind of mix that too. All right, are you guys kind of crafting along or experimenting along or tapping or playing? And then if you feel like you lost part of that defined line that you had on there, you can take your image, go back in, and just kind of re-add that circle, that defined line. And look how it just comes back and pops. Isn't that fun? You can also stamp with these. So let's see what we have on our stamp here that would work. Just kind of add some texture, add some other lines and stuff in there. I kind of like the sunflower. I think that's pretty cool. I'm going to pull the sunflower off. And let me get a block. These paint brushes are kind of cool too. I think those are kind of cool. Add some random lines. So for those, you can take your stamp and stamp it into what you got going on. I'm going to actually take mine and paint it on. Actually, I don't think that's going to work. Let's just stamp it. My stamp is very, very clean. I haven't used it yet, so it's probably not going to stamp very crisp. Nope, it is too clean. I need a dirty stamp. But I do like the random lines that is kind of creating. Okay, let me just clean off. And it's just watercolor, so it'll clean off very easily. And then I'm just going to hit that with a heat tool. And you can kind of see on here, this was very wet. So when you put it over the top, you're going to see that wherever it was wet, kind of reconstitutes it and gets it going again. So it is kind of doing its magic and doing some really cool backgrounds. Which I think would kind of be really fun to kind of put up in this one too. So there's one on here that looks like an inky splotch. I think that would be fun to kind of add some texture with it. And I'm going to stamp it into that, that darker blue. You know what? I'm just going to get my fingers all in it. Oh, yeah, I love that. Just do some random speckles. like my block's a little overkill here. If I have a smaller one that I can find. And then we can kind of dress up our little squares. It says it's permanent. Let's see what we got here. Anytime you do stamping of something over the top of it, and I'm using black, you do want to make sure it's permanent in case you go back in and you add other colors or other droplets. Ooh, look how pretty that is. So each one of these little scenes and each one of these kind of different techniques that we're doing would be great to use on the front of a card, great to use on a tag. So just think of these as little mini works of art. I pulled this flower off. I think we'll put that flower on one of them. And it's all sometimes about experimenting and just playing with inks. We do have Jeanette. I did talk her into it. She's working on a curriculum of doing a color theory class to kind of teach us the color wheel, how to read a color wheel, how to use a color wheel. So stay tuned because that will be coming soon from Jeanette. We will have more information on a color theory class. Let's see, what else do we have? Circles. Ooh, I love this quote. So I'm just kind of stamping on top of it with some black things to kind of make the images stand out and dress up my little squares. Love it. Art is the only way to run away without leaving home. Isn't that a great quote? It's a great one. Okay, so there we kind of have different things that we've played with. We did water, we mixed the colors, we mixed some different techniques. We kind of stamped over the tops of them. I'm going to pull out some background stamps because I just love backgrounds. Backgrounds are great because, well, they're in the background. So these are by some Indigoblu also. I'm sure you guys have all kinds of different stuff in your stash that you can pull from. And I'm just going to put that on there. And I'm just going to stamp into this. I'm just going to stamp into all of it and see what we get. And I like it. Okay, so we're just kind of adding some lines, adding some textures, kind of playing in the backgrounds. And then I like to do random words too. And then, of course, you can cut out ephemeras, you can cut out other pieces. And I'm just doing this random because I want, oops, that's upside down. I'm not covering the whole stamp. I just want to randomly add some black here and there. Not even putting it on a block. Okay, and that's some fun. Create more backgrounds. And I love this right here. So this right here is pretty much, I did the same thing, but it gives you two different effects. So this stamp that I did with a random background, I just dipped it into my watercolors on here and everything's happy because it's blue, yellows, teals. This was very wet. I stamped it onto this that had color underneath it, and you can see wherever the water went, it kind of wicked it out because there's already a watercolor there. So it wicked it out and did a cool kind of like colorful pools. That same stamp and that same inky I stamped here, but because there was white behind it, it kind of gave it more of a colored stamp or crisp image versus wicking it out because there wasn't as much color underneath as there was there. So both of these was the same exact technique, but we got two completely different looks with what was underneath it, what was underneath our areas. So we just kind of created some fun backgrounds with the watercolors to kind of give you some different techniques and give you different looks. And it's just kind of playing with those. What I also like to do is take a fine brush, get it really wet, kind of go in here full strength and do your splats. I don't know what it is about splats, but I feel like splats like completes every project. It just gives it that finite little fairy sprinkles. And of course, the less water you have in it, you'll see the stronger that little splat is. And of course, something else that would be pretty is to go in, and maybe I dig that out in a second, put some white splats on top of it. But we want to let kind of all of this dry. And let me look in where'd our magazine go? It's on the floor. They have some great fuzzy cutting papers and things in here. Let's see if there's a little embellishment or something. Ooh, I like that right there. That would work. I'm going to come in here and grab this bee, and I think he's going to look gorgeous right on there. So kind of what we're doing, the techniques that we're playing with, and we're making squares, and we're watercoloring, kind of this idea right here, this card. So this card essentially is on watercolor paper. you're going to, if you want this crispness, what you're going to do is you're going to take your tape, like your yellow tape from Spellbinders, and you're going to mask this off. And then that will give you your crisp edges instead of the blobby edges like I had. And then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to build your watercolor puddles on here, and then take your colors and just tap it in the corner and let it wick out. So that's kind of what it did. It wicked out here. Here you have your blue. Here you have your yellow. Here you have your turquoise. Make sure everything's clean. And then you can go in with your orangey color, and then that will wick out. And then once those are dry, take your black stamps and just stamp over the top of it. So that is essentially kind of the same idea of what we did here with these different panels, just to kind of create some colors. And of course you can go in now and you can fuzzy cut these, and you can draw some colors on them. I'm just going to fuzzy cut this cute little bee out because he's adorable and he's not too hard to cut out. And when you're fuzzy cutting, the key is to have a good sharp pair of scissors. I love, these are my all-time favorite fuzzy cutters. These are the EK Success ones with the titanium or the non-stick blades on them. They have the black blades, and these are my all-time favorites. And if you'll notice, when you fuzzy cut, you hold your scissors still. You're not doing this and putting your arm at different angles that's hard for you to maneuver and do. You are basically holding your scissors still and making the paper work. You are just wiggling that paper around the corners, wiggle, 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 and all you're doing is basically opening and closing your scissors. So this is what gives you that nice, clean, smooth edges, and it's not making your wrist hurt, and you're not going in at weird angles. You are just wiggling that piece of paper and dancing it around your scissors. So that, my friends, gives you, oh my goodness, how cute is that? Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. He looks fabulous on there, doesn't he? All right. Let's put some glue on there. And then you can also, I just did this guy out of the fuzzy cutting book, but you could also stamp any of those butterfly images onto the paper, and then fussy cut those out too. Oh, look how cute he is. I love him. That makes me happy. Makes me happy. Okay, any questions so far? You may have any questions. I really like my flower on there, but it's not as bright as I would like it. I wonder if there's anything else in the book that kind of matches that. Oh, and there's also the die cuts. There's the metal dies in here too that we could die cut out and put on there, which would be super cute too. Let's see what else is in our book here. There's also some quotes in here, little angel wings. That might be the only little images. The rest of them we might have to, yep, and then it repeats. The rest you might have to stamp on the paper and then cut it. I love that tag too. That'd be a fun one to kind of play with. All right, any questions? Are we good? Anybody? We also have, ooh, there is a stencil in here that makes my heart sing. Look how pretty that is. I love that. Is there any stencil paste in front of me? I have a palette knife. This is how I just kind of keep spiraling and just keep going. What is in front? Ooh, what is in front of me? What is this? Solar paste. Do you think that'll show up? I don't know. Let's find out. I don't have my water to keep it clean. I just kind of randomly grab stuff. Ooh, that's pretty. Look at that. Okay, if I put something up there, I gotta put something down here, and I'm gonna overlap this flower a little bit. Ooh. And the solar paste has a little bit, I don't know if you can see it, but it's more of a translucent, it's got a blue tint to it. It's called Beluga. It has a little bit of a blue tint. So it's kind of bringing in some different colors and stuff with that. That's pretty. Okay, I got to do it in a third spot. I always do things, I have to go up here in threes. Right there. There it is. All right. Okay. Didn't plan on playing with stencil paste, but you know, it was sitting in front of me, so why not? This is how things just kind of, how things go. How pretty is that? Ooh, I like it. Okay, I still have to do something with that sunflower. I am not in love with that one. Any suggestions? What should we do to that? Okay, I'm going to go clean this and get a paper towel. Anybody have a suggestion to put over that sunflower? I got to do something. Maybe we fuzzy cut something out, die cut something. Okay, that stencil is the bomb. It is a random script, and look at how cool that is. You can't read it. You don't know what it says. It is so cool. I am loving that stencil. That is going to be a favorite. That is going to go in my repertoire, and that is going to be a favorite. Get the stencil paste off of, I put it my arm in it, off of my mat. I know what we'll do. We will die cut. We haven't played with the die cuts yet. They're in this kit. We will die cut that flower out. And these guys could be ripped apart. They can be put in journals, which is what I might do. I might kind of rip these apart and use them like little mini, like an ATC, like little mini ATCs. Wouldn't those be cute? Sometimes you just have to play and experiment and see what you come up with. Which I didn't do anything with this red. So maybe I'll do my red over here and play with some of those since it is out on my mat. And I'll do something different with that one. Okay, that guy makes a little silhouette that I'm just going to cut out a piece of black cardstock, because you know what? We always have pieces of black cardstock. So we're going to cut that out, make a little silhouette. Let's just die cut it. Something else you can do with the vivid inks is you can watercolor with them. So you could stamp your butterflies or your images or whatever you have, and you could go back in and watercolor those with the colors and mix them kind of like we did. I am not going to punch out these black pieces because I absolutely kind of love it the way it looks. So I'm just going to put glue all over everything and glue that down as so it's more like a silhouette. And I love that. You could punch out those little black pieces, but I'm going to leave them. Now we're making like, almost like little mini ATCs. Do we put another one there? I feel like we need, you know what I feel like we need is little quotes. This is why I can't, I don't know if I can figure out how to do Crafty chats from the store, because this is where I'm like, ooh, what about? Ooh, what about? And I just start gluing things down that are on my table or around me. Hey, look at that butterfly that was just laying on my table from a different project. Ooh, yes. We're going to put that right in the center of that. I don't know what this is from. It's just laying on my table. But that is going to be stunning right there in the middle of that stenciled area. I love it. I've got my white speckle from Hero Arts. I'm going to pull that out. And let me add a little water to it. Oops. And now it's going to get into my orange. And we're going to have pink here in a minute. Yep, there it went. But I'm going to splat some white on. Oh, I need my splat box. I vowed to myself that I was not going to mess up this black mat, and I was going to leave it all nice and clean. And then here I go, adding splats to it. So much for keeping it nice and clean. Okay, how are we looking, guys? Are we looking good with those? We kind of played with those colors. I feel like there's still colors on my mat that I don't want to, waste them. I really like the circle look. That's kind of my favorite, is kind of playing with those circles. Those were fun. Let's see what we have for little quotes. I like these little quotes, these little Tim Holtz things. They're always fun. Because you can just peel and stick them. So this one says, do what you love what you do. Love it. Okay, so what do we put? That already has a quote. I don't think it needs anything. Oh, here we go. There's a bee. So it says, be authentic. Or do we put it up here? Nope, right down there. Be authentic. This one says, let it go. That is going to be perfect to go with that butterfly. Let it go. How perfect is that? I kind of don't want to mess this one up. I love what's going on with this one too, but I do feel like it needs, okay, get the food off of it. It needs something, but maybe not a giant black quote. And this one still needs help. I'm not happy with that one. But all of these guys is just kind of playing with your inks, mixing your colors, and doing what ifs. And you know what? I'm going to do a what if. I don't know what this is going to do. So I'm going to grab that red, and I'm going to put some circles over here. And I probably ought to put different sizes of circles, but right now I'm just doing the same size circle. I'm going to go into this white. Ooh, and see what we get with those. So the white is an acrylic paint, whereas the red is more of a dye-based ink. So you can see where it's making it more opaque and kind of changing the color of it. I know, right? It needs a yellow die cut or yellow something. I agree, Amy. Okay, so there's those. Somehow I managed to splat everything. This is still wet, so my pastes are still wet. This is... I'm going to go in with just some water, just water, and I'm going to go in and just kind of color, again with a lot of water, just around the outside edges of those. And Scruffy is tired of the baby tonight. She last night was jumping off the couch, aka WWE, off the top rope onto Coco, who was minding her own business. It was kind of funny, and I wish I videoed it, but then again, bad girl. Then I'm going to go in just because I have yellow here, and yellow will mix nicely with the reds. I'm just going to kind of go in and kind of like horseshoe it. Just give it a little bit of yellow in these. So yellow and red are great together. You kind of get an orangey color, but the blues and red is what's going to give you mud. We're going to get mud with that. Okay, those were fun. But I think I have a scrap piece of paper here. Let's see what happens. Where's my block? And my sunflower. I'm going to take my black ink and I'm going to stamp, that sunflower onto a piece of paper. And this is just a random scrap that's laying on my table. Ooh, that stamped really nice, didn't it? And then we're going to fuzzy cut that out. I say that, but then I'm like, ooh, why did I agree to fuzzy cut this thing? We'll chunk it out. We're going to chunk it out. Started going on the lines, and now I'm just kind of going very chunky on the outside edge. So I'm letting my little red circles dry, and as the little red circles dry, you're going to notice they're kind of wicking out as they get wet, which kind of gives them a cool effect. But the yellow and red will make orange. And then all the colors we have will pretty much make brown. Brown is one of the easiest colors to make. Okay, I'm going to hit this with a heat tool because I want to make sure that's dry. It is, does this one say permanent? It says permanent black, so let's just kind of heat set it, make sure it's black, make sure it's dry. I feel like this one over here needs, let me find a finer brush. I feel like it needs some red splats. Since everybody else has splats. Again, something about splats. It just finishes it. Reminds me of the Olympic circles there. I think all of those brushes are dirty. So we'll just pick up a new one. I think my yellow is dry. Let me try to pick up some yellow. And another thing you can do with these paints or watercolors, the ink, is you can just color with it directly. See how I'm just taking the yellow and kind of mixing it with water, just whatever is left on my mat, and I'm just coloring that flower in. Starting to get a little turquoise in there because Not a lot left on the mat. There we go. We're going to put that on top. There we go. Then I'll have the green wicking out underneath it, and then I'll kind of cast a shadow. So that'll be cool. We're going to go with that. Let's see if I can make some brown here. The dark gray, kind of a muddy color. We're going to put that in the center. Like I said, brown is one of the easiest colors to make. I feel like I always make brown. Brown, brown, brown. Okay, there. I like that better. So then, I don't know if we're going to, I don't know if we'll ever line this up. There's a little curly Q there. Oh, there it is right there. I like that. Okay, so that's going to make that jump out now. There we go. Okay, that's what we needed, Amy. Thank you. Just needed a little bit of yellow. Now our image is on there. Our background's on. Let's see if we have a sentiment or something that goes with it. Continue on with our little mini works of art. Today is a good day. I feel like I want 2 words. Today. How about today? Where's my scissors? We'll just cut it apart. Today is a good day. There we go. Perfect. All right. How do those look, guys? So now we've kind of made like little mini collages. Is that dry yet? Kind of getting dry. Look how when that dries, can you see it? It kind of gives it a iridescent shimmer, and it just happened to be blue. So it's working with those colors that we kind of have underneath. That's from our die cut set. That's from our stamp set. That's from our ephemera pack. So lots of fun pieces in this little crafty set. Let's see what we have left here. That butterfly might be cute to do over the red. So sometimes, guys, it's just experimenting. It's a what if. I wonder if this color mixed with that color, or wonder if this goes with that. Sometimes you just have to step back and experiment and have fun. Not everything is gonna be framed in the Smithsonian. It's just have fun, guys. It's about experimenting. It's about playing. And these watercolors are very, very, very forgiving. These are just kind of the little sample sizes that we had. So we do have full sizes of these in stock of way more colors than we have here. And then some of them also have shimmers in them. So those are some fun colors and things that you can play with too. Okay, so I'm just going to dry this butterfly, and we're going to do contrasting colors. So we're going to kind of go in with this butterfly, and I'm just going to kind of clean up what we have here. And I'm not even going to worry about staying in the lines, because we're going to cut this guy out anyways. So I did kind of some blue on the bottom. We'll kind of do this turquoisey on the top. And then, let me find a finer brush. We're going to go in with this dirty brown color I made and just kind of hit his body with that. Not pretty? And then we'll cut him out. We're going to put him on top of there. So then we have our contrasting colors. Anytime I cut, sometimes I think of like Pac-Man. Wonka, 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 wonka. Okay, same thing. We're just going to kind of chunk him out. Are there any questions from anybody? Anybody got any questions while we're kind of mixing colors, kind of playing with the palettes, playing with the watercolors? These butterfly antennas are going. They are gone. Those can just be drawn back in with a black pen. And all of these techniques I'm doing, you can do them on cards, you can do them on art journals, scrapbook pages, tags. Just kind of have fun with them, guys. And I'd love to see what you guys come up with and create. So make sure to go post those over in our Scrapbook-N-Memories scoop group on those. Let's see, where is, I need some random stamping on that one. I love a good random stop. Amy, I have absolutely no idea. Sometimes I just make art to make art. What I might do is cut these apart and put them in my art journal. They would be really cool for those. Put them in my art journal. These little techniques that we're doing too would be fun to do on ATC cards. Those are kind of fun also. Fun for ATC cards. Another thing I do, let me grab it really quick. Is I have my bucket of randomness. And when I say randomness, this is randomness. Sometimes I die cut something out and I'm like, oh, it didn't work on my project. Or sometimes I fuzzy cut something. Ooh, look at that. Sometimes I make stuff and it just didn't make the cut. I didn't use it on what I originally intended it to go on. So I throw them in this bucket. Oh, that's a card. That shouldn't be in that one. But this is my random bucket of stuff. Ooh, looky there. Maybe we use that. So I make things and then they get thrown in these random buckets. And then maybe I die cut some shapes out of them later. Maybe I have some random pieces. And so that's what... Boy, there is a lot of randomness in here, guys. So where I'm experimenting and playing with, maybe I didn't like what I did, but you know what? You can die cut something out of it later. It will make a beautiful background. And looks like I was playing with wax seals. Those are in here. So let's see what we got. Okay, obviously the Christmas isn't going to work. But let's see if any of these pieces kind of fit on to what we got going here. Nope, those don't. Ooh. Does that frame? Is that the top or bottom? No, that doesn't really frame it. But sometimes that's what I do. I play in my random buckets of stuff, and then I find pieces that go onto things too. I think that butterfly is just going to go the way he is. Or actually, no, he's too big for all of these. I think he's going right there on that one. And sometimes it's just about experimenting. Just experiment and play and see what kind of fun techniques you can play with and what you've got. And there's no right or wrong either. That's what's great about these. So we kind of played with some fun techniques. We kind of played with mixing some colors. Look, see, I have random wax seals. Not liking that. But anywho, you guys kind of get the gist. So there's that guy there. I really like him. We kind of did some different contrasting colors. And then maybe I die cut. Oh, that's too big. Here's a cool watercolor flower that I cut out of something and never did anything with it. So you know what? Oh, look at that. Nothing ever goes to waste. So you have stuff on your mat, you can go in, you can pick it up, you can dab in it, you can touch it. I have no idea what this die cut is from. It's probably from a Crafty hour or another class I was working on. And it didn't make the cut, it didn't make the project. So it kind of got thrown in the random bucket, and look at how fun it is just to clean up your mat and make some backgrounds. You put some quotes on here. I love this one. Today is full of possibilities. I just love these Tim Holtz quote things. You can just cut them apart. You can just add them to your cards. They are fun. Today is full of possibilities. Feel like I need a little bit of, I have no idea what I'm picking up on the mat. I'm just picking up whatever colors are here. I feel like it needs a little bit of not so cleanness to it. There we go. Look at that. Loving this glass mat. Okay, and then I'm going to put him on. And you know what he needs? Where is my... my tiny attacher. Oh, love my tiny attacher. Then he needs a quote. He needs a fun quote too. Just because. How appropriate is that? Just because. This guy here, I have this. This is, I call it my dirty water. Anything I'm doing my watercolor brushes and stuff, I clean it off in this little jar, and it just kind of collects those colors. Oops, lost that paintbrush. Let's grab a different one. So I'm going to take my dirty glitter water, and I am just going to put it on his wings, and look at how pretty that glistens. And of course the blue is kind of fading back out because it is wet. So that's kind of coming back out. But I really like what we've done. These are like little mini works of art, little canvases. So now I'm just going to rip them apart. Well, maybe. There we go. Instead of ripping my masterpiece apart, how cute are those? Now I can put them on some cards, on some pages, and rip that one too straight. This one, we're going to glue back together maybe. Got a little carried away. And this was just kind of a creative play, guys. Get out your products, get out your inks, kind of play. Have those what if moments. What if you mix this? What if you mix that? Gosh, some days it's just about creating and experimenting with what you got. So look at that. We just have perfect little, I love them, mini canvases. And let me tell you, I totally squirreled, and I'll show you what I was originally going to do. But I totally squirreled, and I like what I came up with here a lot better than what I was originally going to do. But I'll show you what I was originally going to do. Look at how pretty those are. Oops, this one is still kind of wet. So I hope you guys, I hope you're inspired. I hope you played a little bit, or if not, you'll kind of get your products out and play. These can now go on art journals. They can now go on mixed media pages. You could kind of do whatever you want to do with them. What I originally was going to do is I ripped this up, and we did one color, cool tones on one side, warm tones on the other. We were going to fold this up, and then we were going to take and cover some chipboard, and then we were going to put one on the front and one on the back, and I was going to tie a ribbon on it, and we were going to make like a little mini album out of it. But you know what? We squirreled, and I like this better. I kind of like what we went with. So maybe we mini album another day. But these are fun, fun little works of art. So I hope you guys are inspired. I hope you get out your inks and you kind of play. There are some great step-by-steps in these books to kind of tell you how to do some different techniques and how to do the colors and stuff. It is all step-by-step in these Indigoblu catalogs, and it has some really great ideas. I don't know, honestly, if I can pick a favorite right now on these, because each one is kind of individual. Each one has a different technique, and gosh, these are really fun to kind of play with, and just play with what is in your stash, guys, and have fun. So thank you everybody for joining me tonight for Crafty Chat. I hope you learned some new products. I hope you had a great time, and I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with. So have a fabulous night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.